Part 2. That I should bear this pain, not you. The morning after Job had lost his children and his wealth, he crossed the half-plowed pasture to the east and made his way once more as priest and father to the altar on the distant hill where he had gone 100 times at dawn to pray and sacrifice the lamb and lay his hand upon the head of that poor sheep, and by its blood combat the sin of all his sons. From where Job stood beside the altar there at dawn this time, he saw across the valley to the east the loss of all his earthly dreams, the home of Zachan, like a catacomb upheaved from some dark cave and broken like an open grave where all his buried children lay. His hands hung limp beside the gray, blood-splattered stone. And then he knelt and said, "O God, what you have dealt me in this murky day is not what I had thought this bloody, blot-red stone would bring. Did I not pray and sacrifice my lambs and say with sacred oath upon my life, far better I should take this knife and mingle lamb's blood with my own than put my children on this stone? But now what do I see below but servants climbing to and fro like ants on rubble, foraging for lifeless sons? O God, I cling with feeble fingers to the ledge of your great grace, yet feel the wedge of this calamity struck hard between my chest and this deep, scarred and granite precipice of love. But I do fear the fingers of my wife are not so strong to hear when she comes home that every dear and precious child she bore is dead. Therefore, O God, once more I shed the blood of this lamb to atone for her upon my killing stone. I bow before you in the dust. Have mercy to preserve her trust." They said that I would find you here. What's wrong, Job? There's an eerie fear on all their faces. Why are you here offering today? You do this prior to Zachan's feast, I thought, and that was yesterday. I brought him raisins from the river vines. He told me they're the only kinds he likes, and they won't grow down by the... Dinah stopped and fixed her eye where Zachan's great estate had stood. Oh God, what in the name? Job, would you please tell me what's going on? What happened to the house? It's gone. Where's Zachan, Job? And why were my 3 girls not waiting for me by the gate when I came home today, the way they always do? Job, say what you must say. Job said, "I fear to speak what you might die to hear, or worse, might hearing live and curse. Oh, that I had time to rehearse some wise and gentle way to tell you what we lost when that house fell." Dawn broke blood red along the brink of earth and heaven, and scarlet ink spilled upwards on the gray-blue shroud above the land of Uz. Job bowed his head and gave way to great sobs. He'd seen this sky before. It robs, he thought, like some celestial thief who thinks to gain by bringing grief and stealing what he cannot use unless it bless him just to bruise. God crush you, bloody messenger of pain, and by my God, leave her alone. If one must suffer here still more, pluck on this flesh and smear my face with gall and take my life. But stay, and do not touch my wife. These were his thoughts as they embraced. Who knows how long? There is no haste in grief. Job? Yes, Dinah? You know, it was a long, long time ago that you held me this way. So long and tight and without sex and strong. I might survive if you would stay and hold me like this every day. Job smiled and loosed his hold. But when he tried to look at her again, she gasped and pulled away. Job's face was full of sores, and every trace of healthy skin was reddening before her eyes. And then the sting began and itching. Soon the pus was formed, and every sore was thus a wormy fountain of a dread and filthy oozing. Dinah fled and left Job standing in his plague alone. Within an hour, one leg and then the other flamed with the disease. The servants came to see and brought him food, but never got too close. He took the ashes hot from off the altar where the sheep had burned and rubbed them in to keep the itching down, and then he dashed his pot, and with a shard he gashed the biggest boils and let them bleed like scarlet ink with earth and reed, to write his woes on parchment gray and ashen like the sky. That day was like 100 years. At dusk, his wife returned, and she was brusque and cool. "Do you still cling to God?" she asked, and saw his wordless nod. "I think you are a fool. How much from him will you endure till such a love as this from God the Great is seen to be a form of hate? Here's my advice for you to try. Curse God tonight and die, and I will follow soon, a widow robbed of everything." And Dinah sobbed, and tears ran down Job's horrid face. He pulled himself up from his place, and by some power of grace he stood beside his wife and said, "I would, no doubt, in your place feel the same. But, wife, I cannot curse the name that never treated me unfair, and just this day has answered prayer." "What prayer? What did you bid him do?" "That I should bear this pain, not you." "Oh, Dinah, do not speak like those who cannot see because they close their eyes and say there is no God, or fault him when he plies the rod. It is no sin to say, my love, that bliss and pain come from above. And if we do not understand some dreadful stroke from his left hand, then we must wait and trust and see. Oh, Dinah, would you wait with me?" "I'll try," she said. "I didn't mean that you should die. I'm more unclean than you with all your sores." She knelt and found between a boil and welt a place to put her kiss. Is there some evidence that God could care for such as me? Job touched her hair. "You are another answered prayer." Sometimes the spark of faith is slight and does not make the darkness bright. But keep it lit, and you will find far better this than being blind. One little flame when all is night proves there is such a thing as light. Remember now the place and price where Jesus promised paradise. One answered prayer when all is gone. will give you hope to wait for dawn.